What up, what up, what up? This is Birds of a Feather, live
That's what
on
he was doing.
A2D Radio and A2D Live. We are here at the new Real Talk Studios. It's myself, your boy Chucks. Chrome is not here. He is currently at the Flyers Bruins game, currently 0-0. So let's hope he brings some good luck to the Flyers tonight as they face another top team in the NHL. But the rest of the panel, you've got the rest of the guys here as usual. The Patriots Crumb, Kevin Godwin, what's going on?
Not much.
And you've got, of course, my boy here.
boy, yeah,
at the strip club one
Pete,
time.
what's
too,
going
a
on,
stripper to her face. I know. I'm sorry.
What's good?
Cooling, man. It's another week, another day.
know.
Mild outside, so
Yeah,
hopefully
good
we can
weather.
keep
Good
this
weather.
warm weather going.
Exactly. And on the ones and twos, returning from his vacation
The same tan.
with apparently he had a tan, guys. Apparently he had
No one saw it.
color, but it was gone in 3 days,
Listen, I'm
according to
pissed.
him.
I'm pissed, all right? I'm
It's
pissed.
Brodo. What's up, bro?
Hello, how are you? I'm pissed. I burned my face off on the first day, and then I peeled, and then my tan peeled with my burn, and now I'm back to...
And ever so
Me.
conveniently, there are no pictures of this.
No, there's one. There's one. I looked way happier there. I was wearing a white shirt. Got a lot of likes. People were loving it. They're like, wait, you tan? I'm like, yeah, for a day. Maybe for a half day.
For
Not even
just
for,
for
like,
this
what-
picture.
Yes.
What if it
picture.
was less than 24 hours? It's not even like a full 24-hour time frame.
It's like if you were tan for only a day, were you really ever tan?
No.
Like
The
if
answer
a-
is no.
Like if a tree falls in the woods. you
Yes.
don't hear it. Exactly. Our first half, guys, is brought to you by our Doc Paul Vidal of Specialized Physical Therapy LLC. Find him and them in Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. And our poll question brought to you by QB54, which is the best tailgating game in the business. We play it here at A2D. Visit them at playqb54shop.com and use the promo code no notes to get 20% off. The poll question, guys: the Eagles will sign Byron Jones. Agree, disagree? We want to get your input, fam. You know, all the reports saying that the Eagles are all in on getting him. And you know, when it comes to Howie, if he wants someone, it's very, very rare that he doesn't get that player. So let's go to the outside guy. I like going to you a lot because I like getting the outside voice in first to see what your outside opinion is. And so let's go to you. Answer the poll question: will the Eagles land Byron Jones? And remember, it's not whether the question isn't whether
Do we have a
they
siren
want
alert?
to. It's not whether they want to
not
because we're basing it on the report that they are. But knowing that Howie wants to get him, do you think the Eagles will get him?
I don't think so. I think that you're going to see a bidding war happen for them, and obviously, as we know, that the Eagles don't necessarily like to spend the money on new faces.
Since when?
Yeah.
At least they haven't. They haven't gone out and
Okay.
especially with this many positions to fill. I don't see them
Okay.
going out and making a splash on somebody new and developing them into the system versus breaking that up and going out and get a couple pieces. You know, you might see them re-sign now and then, and over the next couple of years, a couple veterans, key stakeholders on both sides of the ball, and then just backfill it with decent players. I don't think they're going to go out and get a star like Byron Jones to fill it. I think that there's too many needs for what money they have.
Okay.
right.
I disagree, but okay. Pete, what you got?
So for me, I think we all know how I feel about Byron Jones. And I know people are scared.
We love him.
Maybe Nandi 2.0. It's a completely
Nope.
different scheme, way more versatile. I agree with Kevin to a point. It's going to be a bidding war. Now you're hearing the Giants are in play. Maybe the Jets are in play. The Colts may be in play. Teams with a little bit more cap space than what the Eagles have. But Byron Jones, very quiet, leads by example. And the Eagles can pay him. Let's not cut the cookie short here. He's going to get paid wherever he goes.
Right.
More than what he was making before. And if he wants a comfortable living and wants to make 15 to 16 million, but wants a chance to win and be on a successful team, he can't find that in the Giants. He won't find that with the Jets. Look how that worked out for Tremaine Johnson when he just did a money grab. Tremaine Johnson just got cut. And 2 years ago, he signed a 6 year, $72 million deal, something like that. So I believe it will be up to Howie to sell the team on to Byron Jones and Jim Schwartz to sell Byron Jones his vision and how he sees him as a hybrid where you can have the freedom to roam and make plays within the scheme while making a very comfortable living. With all that being said, I believe that the Eagles will be able to do that. And this time next week, which is the legal tampering period.
Woo, legal tampering.
I think you'll get the report that Byron Jones has agreed to terms with the Philadelphia Eagles. How he sees free agent, he gets free agent.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so it's very simplistic.
Breaking news. What we got?
Are you breaking that?
Oh, we are breaking when Howie sees a free agent he wants.
Oh, yeah.
He gets him.
Very good.
That's breaking news. At least to Kevin it is.
Yeah, I mean, because
apparently
Howie can make up a difference in what our 40-some-odd million cap space, Howie can operate with that like he had $80 million of cap space. That's one of his strong suits that I'm not worried about. The other shit coming in April, yes.
Cool.
That Howie has to prove that to me. In free agency and making money work, he's like a money launderer. He makes it stretch. You know how drug dealers, they get the product, they cut it with something else, they turn it into this. Howie could turn the salary cap from here into this. He made it. He's done it in the past, and I think this is probably the most cap space he's had in
for a while.
In a couple years.
For a while, yeah, we have a lot. I mean, granted, we have because we have a lot of holes, but yeah,
you wasn't supposed to remember that part.
I'm just being fair. I'm saying both sides. Saying both sides. But okay, I see your points. We've got people here in the chat. I see a lot of them already mentioned. Didn't we already go through this? With Nnamdi. But let me make out the point that. Well, first I'll answer the question. I agree. I think that Byron Jones will end up being an Eagle. I think when Howie targets a player, he goes and gets him, especially free agency. We have the money to do it. And I think that, and I've been consistent, I think that when it comes to free agency, I think we are going to be a little bit more frugal, but there's still one player in free agency he's going to be aggressive with and try to go out and get. And I always thought it was going to be on the defensive side. And after weeks, past weeks, I've been mulling it over. Okay, who's going to be that defensive player? And a few weeks ago, I'm like, it's going to be Byron. I think Byron makes the most sense. And you have to realize that it's not the same case with Byron as Nnamdi or with Byron Maxwell.
Oh,
it's not the same. You know why it's not the same? Because Byron and Nnamdi coming here, they were not scheme fits for what the Eagles did on defense.
Right.
Neither of them. And if you want a cornerback in free agency this year, that would be the parallel to Nnamdi and to Byron, it would be us signing like James Bradbury.
Yes.
That's not the fit for this scheme. Byron Jones is a fit for this scheme. You're talking about someone who plays man-to-man, who whether it be in press or off coverage, that's his forte. He's a sticky cover corner, and he's good in run support, and he's versatile. I mean, I don't know what else to say to show you besides actually showing you game film that he's a perfect fit for what they want in Jim Schwartz's defense.
Right.
And if I can see it, I'm sure that the coaches and how he sees it, and that's why they're gonna go and get this guy because they know, hey, this is if you want to solve our issues at corner, Byron. It starts with Byron, and you can say, okay, like he's not an elite corner, and I agree with that. I think he's a second tier corner in the league. He's not an elite corner, but he's very good. So why would you pay for him? Well, this is what happens when you don't draft well.
Yes.
Look at the corners that we drafted in 2017. And I've always said, like, Howie overall has been okay at drafting, but 2017, Howie and Joe, their demise was that draft class because it looks like they missed on every single one of those prospects except for maybe Derek Barnett, but he's not even a first round level talent. So when you miss on a guy like Sidney Jones and you miss on Rasul Douglas, then this is what happens. You have to go out and pay extra money for that big name free agent to get to help build with. And so I think Byron is absolutely the guy. I think that he's absolutely worth it, and you have to stop making the comparisons from Nnamdi and Byron to Nnamdi and Byron Maxwell to Byron Jones. Totally different scenario.
Well, Nnamdi itself, he was zone corner, and they kind of threw away from him. And that's the one similarity that him and Byron have, where they really didn't throw to Byron's side that much. Byron Maxwell was never he was never the man in Seattle. Like, you knew Byron Maxwell was the number one corner. And to a fault of the Cowboys, they drafted too well because they can't keep the three. You know what I mean? So they got to let one go, and they made a decision to let Byron go because I think in the first round, Cowboys are going to go C.J. Henderson out of Florida. I think they're definitely going to go that direction. So I think they look at it like we can replace Byron Jones or get somebody like that of that ilk. But as far as Byron Jones, the biggest thing about Byron Jones, he's very versatile, athleticism out of the building. He just has stone hands. And a lot of people, why we say Asante is so good, is because of the fact of he had great hands. He would catch everything.
Yeah, I definitely think that, if the question was posed to me as should they go get him, then I would say yes. I think that, he's definitely a great scheme fit for the Eagles, outside of a lot of teams that run something similar. But for me, you're going to have to do one or the other. You're going to have to go sign you're going to sign a bigger name free agent like, Byron Jones and fill a position, and then use a lot of your draft picks to fill in everywhere else and be very young, or go the opposite and be semi-sellers at the draft and, take your early picks, but you can move around some later stuff if there's some targets for other teams, and then be able to save some money in free agents to get your middle tiers. To me, the smarter play is to go the middle tiers, get young enough through the draft, but still have that good balance versus overpaying at one position. I'm not saying that they'd be overpaying, but they potentially could be because it's going to be a winning.
I'll give it to you there. They
war.
Would be overpaying though.
Right.
Yeah.
But goes back to my argument here. I would go that route if the Eagles were in full rebuild mode.
Right.
But as Howie has said, they're not rebuilding. They want to retool and revamp as quickly as possible to contend still. So if you were to sign middle tier guys in draft, that's the way to go if you're playing the long game. But if you want to get young but still have the defense and have the team to contend this year, you got to plug in that hole immediately.
Yes.
And it's different for the offensive side. The reason why, because then you can go back and you can tell me, okay, why not sign Amari Cooper? Well, I said that last week. The thing is, when it comes to Carson Wentz, you got to get young guys so that they can grow with Carson. Right. On the defensive side, it's not like they have Carson that they have to grow chemistry with. They're on the defensive side. They have to be able to plug and play and immediately contribute. And that's why you have to overpay for a guy like Byron Jones, and I have no problem with it. You can still sign Byron Jones and get an adequate or solid veteran for a cheap cost, and then that's your 1 and 2 on the outside, and then you draft. And, we'll get to that when we get into our little exercise here. But I think that it's not – I think you have to go that route because I'm tired – like I said last week, I'm tired of settling at corner. I don't want to settle at corner anymore.
So I will say this, though. I would disagree with you on the Cooper point because Cooper's only 26. That's young enough to still grow Carson. But it's going to
But what I'm saying is because he wasn't.
You're not going to get both.
Because
no. It's one of the
we're
other.
not. Yeah. But with Amari, my point is with Amari, he's already been on 2 different teams.
Right.
He's not coming in and being like, okay, I'm looking up to Carson.
Yeah.
He's coming in and being like, I'm already an established veteran.
Right.
I'm a free agent. So it's different when you draft a guy and they're like, okay, like I'm a rookie. This is my home. I'm being homegrown, and Carson's my leader that I look up to. You know what I mean?
You want that next man up mentality versus having somebody that's got an ego.
Wide receivers, if you say some way somehow, we get Jerry Jeudy. You think Jerry Jeudy don't know that he already the shit? Like, the dude walks around with a David Star pendant. You feel what I'm saying? Like he may get carried in like having a bar mitzvah at the draft if he gets drafted. You feel what I'm saying? Like but I say that to say this. I agree with your point too. But so if you say middle tier, right? We look at middle tier. That gives me names like maybe a Chris Harris Jr. as a corner, maybe a 1 or 2 year deal. But then you may invest a longer deal, 3 or 4 years, and say maybe $8 million a year to somebody like a Kendall Fuller. You see what I'm saying? Where that way you get 2, maybe for the price of one for Byron Jones. But what makes Byron Jones so attractive in that aspect to bring him into your team is the fact that he is versatile. Like we're talking about, he played the last 2 years at corner. His first 3 years in the league, he was playing safety. So we look at somebody like a Malcolm Jenkins who doesn't want to come back on his team at the current contract. So when I understand we're looking at $17 million or $16 million to pay Byron Jones to somebody who may not equate to interceptions. But when you look at the versatility, we all sit here and if we put Byron Jones in the same role we played Malcolm Jenkins in last year, would his defense have been better?
Yeah, because he's a playmaker. Now I wouldn't play him in the box as much.
But I'm just saying.
Yeah, but like
just looking at
you
those
can
two.
move him around. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't understand why versatility is such a big word this week. Because
Who is your team?
I don't know if you guys, for everybody, the fam listening at home, if you didn't catch it, go back on our podcast and download and watch it. I threw out a versatile guy last week in J.C. Jackson.
You're
who
not
plays
versatile.
safety.
But we don't want J.C. Jackson.
Throws
Jesus
safety
Christ.
and corner.
He mentioned him like
giving
4
to you.
times last week in the second half alone. I swear to
I
God.
tried trading you.
Why do you
versatility.
not? He was a shit in 2018 when y'all won the Super Bowl.
He was so good last year too. 5
Oh, God.
interceptions.
Oh,
You
God.
can't use them.
All right, I'm getting to the comments because we're flying here. Enough of this J.C. Jackson stuff.
Is
I
it
don't wanna
JC
hear
or JT?
JC.
J.C.
Who the hell cares?
So Chrome says, "Hey fellas, checking in from the Wells Fargo Center. Flyers look great. To the poll, absolutely. I believe they signed Jones." Vespi says, "Hey yo, sorry to bother you at work. To answer the poll question, gonna go with agree." And he says, "Oh, and congrats, Chucks." If for those of you who don't know, he's saying congrats because I just made it public that this week that my wife and I are expecting our first child. So I appreciate everyone from the A2D fam that commented and gave a shout out to us.
The future Brian West Miranda. Sorry, Mary.
Miles Westbrook Moranen.
But thank you for everyone that did send their wishes. We really do appreciate it. And I am excited for the next Brian Westbrook to come in. Marcus Billups says, "How long until you don't have to say new studios?" I'm going to say new studios until
We have new studios.
we get
Until we have new studios.
And the new.
the new. Mike Fuji, I'm going to butcher this. I am so sorry, Mike. Fiordimondo says Byron Jones isn't worth 18 mil. Big name free agents often aren't, but you have to go get them if you have to overpay if you want
But
them.
in relation to the cap, 18 mil in this cap structure is probably equivalent to 10, 12, 13
Yeah,
mil.
because
It's just going to be inflation.
yeah.
The dollar doesn't mean the same thing.
Yeah. He also says Ike Reese said yesterday the Eagles will not get into a bidding war for Byron Jones. Ike Reese has been wrong on that account many of times. So, I mean, I get he's a veteran close to the team, but I disagree there. How he has shown he will get into a bidding war with a team if he wants a certain player.
Yes.
Bill Midbrook says, agree. Oh, the first of the Kevin fan club commenting.
Wow.
Says, agree, and he'd love to go
They're both in there
against
He said they're
the
both in there.
boys. They're both in there, yes.
We'll see.
Club,
After-
We'll see.
Club's all here.
It's a full house.
It is a full house. And speaking of, the second member of the Kevin fan club, Eileen
Oh.
Pompey, says, good evening,
Hi, Eileen.
gentlemen.
Hi, Eileen.
I don't think we're here.
She says,
when she watches. I just think her.
she says nothing better than a cute guy repping JE11.
See?
Oh, yeah.
This is better than Mandy and Otis. This is better than Mandy and Otis on SmackDown right now.
Oh, 2-0 for the flop. Wow, you have to shoot that. Gosh,
What did you
sorry. Ramon Madison Eagles need to clean house. Don't re-sign older players and find some talent in the draft. Absolutely agree that they have to find talent in the draft, but you can't go into the draft with a million holes.
No,
you have to.
And $40 million in cap space.
Yeah, you have to use that cap space. You have to, spend in free agency enough so that you don't have glaring holes.
Yeah.
Marcus Phillips says again, Cooper is too inconsistent, and wouldn't mind going safety. Eileen says, do you think Wentz will do well next season? I say yes, as long as they get
That's a
the
given.
supporting cast.
I'm not worried about his play right now.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, I'm right
Son
there
of a
with him.
biscuit.
I think it depends on who they bring around him.
Yeah. 1-0 Browns. Jeez, that's what happens when you don't shoot on a 2-0.
They cashed in on their power play. We did.
Shorthanded.
That's
Jeez.
Chrome's fault.
The world is falling.
Chrome?
No, Brian Daly's at the game too. Ducks
I know,
fan.
yeah,
That's
Ducks fan, yeah.
this is what it
And
is.
he showed up late.
He brought him.
Yeah.
Shoot
bro.
that.
Well,
Like,
Chrome
what?
has made bad decisions.
You're essentially on a breakaway. Shoot that. Jeez. Marcus Phillips mentions Antoine Winfield, your boy, and then also Ashton Davis. I will throw in another name that I like more than both of them, and that's Jeremy Chin. If you haven't seen, guys, I just did my video breakdown of Jeremy Chin just came out 2 hours ago before the show. So check that out on ATD Radio's.
We may have a third member of the club.
Really? Okay. Hold on. So, Chad Moses says, who is the dude in the Patriots jersey? That would be Kevin Godwin.
It's Kevin.
He's the
Mr.
gum that
Moses?
sticks to the bottom of your boot.
Wave, Kevin, wave.
I did wave.
Wave again, Kevin, in case they didn't see.
Miyagi out this bitch?
What was this?
Oh, God.
He said wave.
That's a swipe.
What, do you clean the window? What do you clean the window?
Wax on, wax off.
That's a swipe.
Oh,
that wasn't
God.
a wave.
Marcus says, Papa Chucks, let's go. Congrats to you both. Thank you, Marcus. Eileen did ask a question. Will Roethlisberger play next season? I say yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I did answer. He will come back, but I said only 1 year as he contemplated.
What did you answer
retiring.
her at?
Huh?
You said you
Privately.
answered.
DMs.
No,
Privately.
no,
DMs.
it's just
Privately.
further down.
Yeah, it's
Privately.
DMs. Yeah, further down.
You
DMs.
answered privately.
You see that, right?
No, so Roethlisberger will play next year, but it will be his last. I don't think he signed an extension of any sort as he threatened retirement last season. So
Yeah.
and this season.
Yeah, I think I lean toward that too. I'm trying to. Bowman Rook says 1-0 Bruins. Darn it. Marcus says Kev rules.
Yep.
And Bill says we should let you talk more, which is I don't disagree.
He has the opportunity to talk, Bill. If he don't say shit, that's on him.
Kevin.
Fan club is growing.
I do have a question for you, Kev.
Yes.
But before we get to you, we're going to go to the YouTube. Real quick. Cassius Cliff says, I'm okay with Byron Jones' outcome either way.
Yes.
Eddie Sanchez says, hello, guys. I would like Byron Jones, but I am worried about the history of the Eagles getting Cowboys players and how they don't pan out.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Williams says, what up, fam? And then Cassius says, Delpit or Davis would be my choice.
Yeah.
Chin.
Yep.
And he also says we should get Kirksey or Schobert.
I would like them too.
Yeah, Kirksey
just
which
got
is
released.
linebacker, got released. Schobert, I think, is going to be too much than they want to spend, and they value the linebacker position. They probably, to be honest with you, for one of the positions that was very, very thin, with a couple of moves that the teams that they were on made, cutting Kirksey and also the release of Tahir Whitehead, you may be able to fill your linebacker void for probably for a decent price.
You can, yeah. Possibly. There's a lot of that tier of linebacker.
But I think they want to upgrade Nate Gary to Kiwatowski, the kid from Chicago, if they can.
So we kind of talked about this prior to the show, Kev, before the guys got there. So pertaining to the free agency stuff, the exercise that you got, Kev came in. He was all excited. I haven't seen him this excited
Let's get
since
to him then.
the Patriots almost won that Super Bowl and they didn't win.
Ooh, how you feel about that,
Almost
Ali?
won the Super Bowl. Then
How you
someone
feel about that?
Someone named Brandon Graham said no. I don't think.
Not today.
Not today. But go ahead.
He's my MVP, by the way, of that game.
Who?
Graham.
That's nice of you.
Like,
Kev.
that's who.
We don't care who your MVP
nice
of that
of you.
game was.
We appreciate
No,
it.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
I
I appreciate it.
Like,
I love him.
He's the reason why you won that
Did you just miss the fist bump?
No,
game. He
I
pulled it
pulled
back.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, did you guys just miss that?
No.
I understand it's all about maybe no hand-to-hand contact right now given the world events, but
fist bumps
Oh
fist
my
bumps are
God.
allowed.
yes, I agree with that.
Yes.
But you said you were going to drop something major.
Yes.
So we're about to release the sounder for the
go.
cat. Oh, listen.
So for those of you who don't know,
the-
this is the exercise. So we decided
Yes.
that each of us are going to for our respective teams map out our perfect or ideal free agency plans for our team. So like whether in free agency we're going to name who we'd sign, which of our former players we would re-sign, and any trades in free agency we would make.
Yes.
And now this is not including the draft. So the draft we'll get to next
Free
month.
agency only.
Have a lot of that, but this is only the free agency period, moves like that we would make. So we're gonna go. We let Kev because we don't want to be mean to him and his fans.
His
You
fan
should talk
club is
more.
waiting. His fan
So
club is waiting.
we're gonna let Kev talk about his plan for the Patriots, and then we'll get to the Eagles. The Eagles plan with me.
So
and
before
Pete.
you go, this is why. This is Big Bro here. Hashtag KFC if you in the Kevin fan club right now.
oh my God!
I didn't
KFC
understand
was.
that
Yes!
either.
What would you do without me?
Hashtag KFC.
That's
nice.
because I saw somebody shout out
Nice.
KFC. I'm like, why? Are we
Hashtag-
getting catering?
Yes. I
Hashtag
love it.
KFC if you're in
I
the
love
fan
it.
club or if you're against it.
Yes.
I don't know what the
I
hashtag
am
is for or
all
against it.
for it. All for it.
So
I love KFC.
the floor is yours.
KFC
So
over
what-
Popeyes.
Okay, so
This
do you
may
want me
be
to
a
go-
heel turn. I'm telling you, Kevin Fan Club. KFC fans, the way this was taught to
Am
me,
I ready for this?
this may be a heel
Am
turn.
I ready to hear this? I don't know if I'm ready for it. But
So
go,
do you want the most
Well,
surprising?
I want
first
you to
out
go
the gate?
in.
just
drop
go.
it
Just
and
go
just
through the
go.
whole thing.
So-
Go the whole thing.
So starting at the biggest question mark on the Patriots at quarterback through free agency, either be free agent or trade. My first scenario is going out and getting Teddy Bridgewater and Marcus Mariota in a Taysom Hill role and drafting Jake Fromm,
But
letting Brady walk.
so your plan is to let Brady walk
Yes.
as a Patriots fan.
Yes.
Wow.
and then you're gonna get both Bridgewater
Get
and Mariota.
Get Bridgewater and Mariota, who is already coming from a backup role, using him in a Taysom Hill-esque position, and then drafting Fromm.
I never
Then
thought I.
You're the
never
first
thought I'd see the
Patriots
day.
fan I've come across that has
Then-
been fine with letting go of Brady.
So let me give my other two scenarios that I
Okay.
have.
Please.
That's through free agency. Both of those quarterbacks are free agents. On the other side, to make a trade within the window, being where I think Brady's going to go, two teams that have been thrown out there, one more realistic than the other. I want to trade for Derek Carr or trade for Jimmy G.
So
Wait.
So-
How many quarterbacks are you? Wait,
This
hold
is
on,
his second
on
se-
top
That's
of?
a second
Each the
scenario.
second scenario.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
two different
But so-
scenarios.
Yes.
Okay.
One is straight free agency, just signings. The other is if we're going to make a trade for somebody, the two I would target.
But the common theme here is Brady is not going to be, and mind you, this was the ideal scenario for this exercise that you would want to see your team do. So you're saying you, as a Patriots fan, are ready to move on from Tom Brady.
As a realist, thinking
No,
what is
no.
best for
Just
the
say
team.
yes or no.
as a Patriots fan,
thinking what
wearing
is
the
best for the
jersey.
team. Thinking of what is best for the team, and the reason why I didn't put the 12 on is it is time to let go.
Oh.
Wow.
I look at it this way,
Oh.
and as we talked about a pre-show, guys, it's do we want to hurt now or hurt later? If we bring Brady
He
back,
wants to rip the Band-Aid off now.
Can we have both, please, for the Patriots?
No.
Can we have both, please?
if you bring Brady back now, you're talking about two receivers, and I'll get into my receivers in a minute of who I want to see come in. But the four that you're going to walk into the season as a must with, because they're already signed out, is Jacoby Meyer, N'Keal Harry, Edelman, and Sanu. They're going to be there. So you already have two second-year receivers on top of whoever you bring in with a aging quarterback for another 2 years. So now you're talking about them having to switch after starting to enter their prime zone into a new quarterback, learning how to play under potentially a new system because no one's going to play like Brady does. And I see them going out and getting another young receiver and drafting one. You're restarting again. So that you're basically saying if you bring Brady back, you have to win a ring. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you don't win one and it was a complete miss, because that's the only reason why you'd bring him back.
So are you ready now to sacrifice winning a ring?
I'd rather not win one in the next 2 to get 2 in the next 5 after.
I cannot believe what I'm hearing.
So you're going long term. You're ready for long term.
Right. Because my issue is if I keep Brady and don't win one, that extends it another 5 years with somebody who obviously isn't playing for another 2, because you're not going to bring one in.
Right.
Then that's pushing out. That's 7 years that you have to say, okay, we're okay with not having a ring.
So
that
the dynasty's over.
I like what I hear.
I'm not
from
saying
him.
it's over, because if we
I
win,
like
taking
what
a
I hear
break.
from Kevin.
because you figure the Patriots in the first 10 and the second 10, we won 3 rings each. So you figure the next 10, if we win one towards the end, 3 in the next 5. You can't say that dynasty's over.
The dynasty is dormant.
Yeah.
For the
It's
time
like,
being.
it's like you're taking a break.
Right.
It's in
like a
hibernation.
speed bump.
And
Yeah.
Eileen kind of agrees with it. She says, "I don't believe if Brady comes back, a ring will be won." To be honest, so she's on here. She thinks that if Brady does come back,
But you're not saying that.
the team's still not good enough.
You don't agree with Eileen's point of view.
What's that? She said, I can't see the comments because I have my notes.
No, Chuck.
No, she's saying that if Brady comes back, if they do sign Brady back, the team's not good enough to win a ring with him in the next year or 2.
No, I disagree with that. I think that they're because the precedent for Brady to come back is to sign offensive pieces. So they're going to have to do that regardless,
Right.
Being how slim they are. So I think retooling with the other pieces I'm going to mention in a little bit, that they will have the firepower to get there. You also have to remember what the team went through, losing who you thought you would have at tight end through injuries.
Right.
All the receivers you had go down. Nothing really coming of the running game. So you never really fired at where you were at, but you had a number, top 3 defense. And 90% of those pieces are back and signed. McCourty did sign his option, or will sign it when the season opens. So you'll have most of that there to move forward with. So I do think that they can win a ring, but my issue is you just lost in the wild card round of the playoffs. The AFC is getting stronger.
Right.
So for the past 20 years, it's been maybe 3 teams, and your probability of getting the bye into the first round bye, and you're missing out on any wild cards, and then you're obviously having to play those teams once already in the year. They've made that pretty well.
Right.
For that to continue on the latter part of Brady's career, I don't see it. I don't see the probability of it happening being as high to where I'm okay with moving on. It's more of a 50-50 shot. Any team that has Brady is going to be a Super Bowl contender, point blank, as far as having a chance, not necessarily being favorites, but having a chance to go just because of the caliber of player he is and the talent that he brings up around him. But do I want to risk that in 2 years to suffer the next 5? Absolutely not. I'd rather rip it off now and bring in a younger quarterback, and not necessarily not a veteran, because the other 2 options I would trade for is either Derek Carr, who fits their scheme as far as semi-mobile to extend plays, not necessarily running, but that mid to long range throws, and of course Jimmy G, who has been rumored that the 49ers are in on Brady to bring in a hometown guy.
Go ahead, Chuck. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I respect it. I agree with your premise. I don't agree with your plan. I think if you're gonna go with veterans and then draft a young guy to groom, I still think it's Eli Manning and Nick Foles, and then you draft Jake Fromm. Go up to you.
Wow.
The one scenario you didn't have, which is I've been telling you for how long I believe it's going to happen if Brady
Red
goes.
Rifle?
Yes. I do. How mad or how accepting? Because I honestly do believe that's a very, very strong chance that happens, to where you bring in Andy Dalton and then you draft the next guy, whether it's I think Fromm is going to end up being the guy, to be honest, given the placement of where he is.
Yeah.
See, my issue is that, I haven't heard enough buzz outside of fans knowing the dumpster fire that's already there to want to have him out, being Andy Dalton, and seeing that there's going to be moves there anyway with where they're drafting.
Right.
So, outside of the draft situation, I haven't heard much buzz around it, and I don't necessarily think, I think that every other player that I've named is better than him talent-wise as far as
yeah.
immediate fits. I think scheme fit-wise he can be
Yeah,
there.
there you go.
But I'd rather have the talent to have Belichick. If you have so many moving pieces already with what I've proposed and what the team's going to do, that changing the scheme around for arguably the greatest coach in the league isn't going to be hard to do. Belichick.
He's the greatest coach of all time. There's no arguing about that.
KFC 1. I'm going to call her that. I think she's KFC 1. KFC 1 says, Kev, Jimmy G is a bum. LOL. So she disagrees. But just your quick thoughts on that before we move on.
Yeah, not a bum. Move on.
And she also wants to know what your thoughts are on Stidham.
Not a fan. Never been a fan. I think he's in the same situation as they haven't given him enough shots as far as looks and reads within the playbook to learn because they know he's not the guy. So now I believe he's been in the league 4 years. So having sat, maybe 3, but having sat that long and not given a shot, you're going to have to go from 0 to 100 real quick to get him ready to do so. So I think it's more of a wash than anything. I mean, if you've looked at other Patriots quarterbacks within the systems, Ryan Mallett, Brissett, who they did early, Hoyer. Those guys never panned out to be anything but
I don't know about that,
backups.
but Brissett. I mean,
Brissett they did early,
Yeah.
so I think he could have had more potential if somebody would have given him a playbook and said, "Hey, this is what you know," versus having to kind of restart from learning a partial playbook with the Patriots and trying to reteach him certain things. I think he is decent, but I think the potential, if somebody would have drafted him and groomed him to be something, would have been greater than what he is now.
Now, you said you have wide receivers before we move on to the Eagles.
Yeah.
What's the rest of your plan in terms of wide receivers, weapons, and whatnot?
So my wide receiver weapons, I have one or the other. I would like to sign either Cooper or Anderson, Mark Cooper or Roddy Anderson. Robbie. Sorry.
Rodney Anderson is
Robbie.
the running back.
That's
He's from Cincinnati.
Robbie
has
Anderson.
no knees.
So Robbie Anderson. I want to sign one or the other,
So you want to go big.
and Tajay Sharp, and sign a late round pick.
You can't have P-Way.
What are you doing for your tight end? I should not be feeling.
So-
I know where you're
So
going.
tight end.
OJ Howard.
Hooper.
No,
he's
so
going Hooper.
So I want one or the other, Hunter or Hooper. I prefer Henry Hunter.
Henry.
Who the fuck is Henry Hunter? Who's that?
Henry Hunter / Hunter Henry.
Yes,
The Chargers aren't
whatever.
letting him go.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
They're not letting him go.
If he's out there,
He's
if
getting
not,
tagged.
There's no shot. I mean,
if not, Hooper is available. They've already said that
They're
they're
gonna
not chasing him.
They're going to
Okay.
say
That's
he's
what
going to get
Falcons go.
overpaid.
So, Cooper.
And it has come out that Jimmy Graham most likely will be available. That he's probably
yeah,
going to
I
get
mean-
cut.
Yeah, you can have him.
You
might
can
be,
have him.
might be available for the next 10
You
years.
have him.
And then I want to draft Moss and keep Izzo.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
all right. So here's what we'll do for ours. We'll read it off, and then we'll compare like our differences and stuff like that.
okay.
But I feel like we'll have a good amount
Of similarity.
similarities, but I think one or two things. But that's just me guessing. So go ahead and.
All right. So for me, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to tell you who I would let walk first. Malcolm, bye.
Ooh.
So I'm good with that.
I don't hate it.
So Malcolm, bye.
Bye, P-Way.
We already said bye to Bradham. Kind of said bye to JP. I'm cool with that. I would actually say I would trade Dillard.
What? You trade Dillard already?
Here's
Yeah.
the sin alarm. Here we go.
I would trade Dillard. I would try to trade Dillard to Detroit for
We have
Darius.
a lot of differences. So go ahead.
In a package to try to get Darius Slay. Pay him somewhat. I don't think you have to pay him as much as you pay Byron Jones. I would sign Kendall Fuller as my backup or Chris Harris. On the offensive side of the ball, we already spoke about Tahir Whitehead, Christian Kirksey. I would love Kirksey. But on the offensive side of the ball, I would take a serious look at potentially, now that if I'm letting Dillard walk, I'm letting JP walk. That means you got to do something on left tackle. Not big fans of the tackles that are out there, the draft class of the tackles. So I'm just saying trade Dillard if I can guarantee myself somebody like a Darius Slay back. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Okay.
Quick question though: if you're trading Dillard, and I might have missed it, so if I did, I apologize. Who's your left tackle?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So at that point, maybe you let JP test free agency and then you bring him back. Or I'm going to be honest with you, man. I know I said it last week. Chucks doesn't like it. I'm not a big fan of it. But
we weren't here for the second half.
he was your starting left tackle in the Super Bowl and won you a ring. And he's not going to cost you.
I heard this when I was on the beach. I heard this. I was in the hammock. I almost fell out of the hammock.
You may fall out of your chair now. I'm just saying overall because I'm trying to see how I can fill these holes.
You want turnstile again?
Because we're not looking at the draft. No. As far as wide receivers on it for the Eagles during free agency, I would go Brashard Perryman. Young, fast, late first-round pick, was a bust in Baltimore. Let's be honest what it is. Started to catch on the Tampa Bay's offense. But, once again, I would trust Brashard Perryman more than I would trust Robbie Anderson, in my opinion. Because I think that would be somebody that the fan base can get behind as far as the money that we're going to pay him, which why fans care about money anyway, I'm not sure. But also his age and his skill set. He's not this typical squatty 5'8", 5'9", 6-foot burner. I think if I'm not mistaken, Perriman's 6'1", 6'2"?
6'2", I think.
6'2", and he's still somebody that can stretch the field vertically for you. But that's what I would do.
Yeah, I did look at him.
We have a lot of differences.
I'm sorry.
I thought we were Hold on, before you get into, because I don't want to lose time in the first half, but
yes.
Let me read off mine and then you
ahead.
can chime in. But okay, Jesus Christ. Okay, so out of the Eagles free agents that I would bring back, I would restructure Malcolm, and the reason why I would bring him back is not just because of leadership, but because I think that and I've said this for weeks now. I think you're going to need him as a hybrid linebacker, okay? So you have him there. Interior defensive lineman Hassan Ridgeway. Sign him. You traded for him, and he played well before he got hurt. You signed him to a 1 or 2 year contract. He provides depth on the second unit. Obviously, the punter Cameron Johnston. You signed him. I'm pretty sure he's going to be resigned. And then to me, only because there's no risk involved, and you kind of need to keep a consistent QB room is you just sign Nate Sudfeld for a 1 year deal. Because if he had played well in the preseason, I could see him trying to go to another team.
Right.
But because he got injured, I don't think there's going to be a market for him at all. So you can sign him for a vet minimum. That's why I would bring him back, just so he has familiarity. And then obviously there would be a veteran QB you have to bring in. I didn't name one because I didn't get time to, but
Flacco.
That's who I would resign. I wouldn't sign Reed.
Did you just say who I think you said?
I wouldn't
Flacco.
go. I wouldn't go Flacco.
Trade for Flacco.
He's done. I wouldn't go Flacco.
I'm not trading for anything that's worth any value.
But
because then I shouldn't have to trade for you in the first
so
place.
in terms of free agents that I would sign off the mark, there are 4 names that are the main guys, and then
Tier
after
1?
that, not like tier 1 guys, but four guys I would target, and then after that, just sign low key guys. But 4 guys I would target. Obviously, Byron Jones. That's one we already covered him. Brashard Perriman, we are absolutely in agreement. I think 1 or 2 year deal is fine. I think on average, Spot Rag has him making about an 18 mil total contract, which averages about nine a year. I'm okay with that. I am perfectly okay with that. I think it's a high risk but high reward signing. So I go Byron Jones, Brashard Perriman, and then I continue adding to the defense. I do go Jimmy Ward. I think he's a perfect fit. The one thing that concerns me is the injury history, but you're talking about a versatile safety, and he played really well last year. I would go Jimmy Ward. And then at linebacker, I want Corey Littleton, but I think teams are going to outbid us, and we don't prioritize the linebacker position enough. So my backup guy after Littleton is Devondre Campbell. I really like Devondre Campbell as a solid coverage guy who's fast, racked up a bunch of tackles last year. The Falcons tried to resign him, but they just couldn't, so they're moving on from him. Those are my 4 guys I target, and then from there, maybe add another linebacker or corner for depth, just cheap pieces. And then the last thing I would do in free agency, and I brought this up last week, and it's funny because today I saw an article of of a rumor. I think Bo Wolf saying that don't be surprised if Rasul Douglas or Sidney Jones are on the trade block. So the trade I would do is trade Sidney Jones for Dante Pettis, and now you have a low risk, high reward wide receiver that if he gets a change of scenery, he could be a legit wide receiver too for this offense.
Is San Fran really that far out on him though?
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't fit there.
He doesn't fit
Is he
there.
fast? Is that his thing?
Nah.
He has enough. He was one of the greatest returners in college
That's what it
history.
was. Okay.
He has speed, but he's more. But like he has really good speed, but he hangs his hat on like elite quickness and route running. He's a route runner, and so he has that's his whole thing coming out of college. That's his game. But he can go deep.
So he's what Aguilar was supposed to be?
Hey.
Better than Like
You think
I
so?
was really high on like coming out. I was higher on Pettis than I ever was on Aguilar. Aguilar was just a slot guy. To me, Pettis was he legit.
He could play on the outside.
He had borderline wide receiver one ability, like potential. That's how high I was on
So,
Pettis.
just to add on mine real quick, I would not be opposed to bringing back a Rodney McLeod or signing Jimmy Ward
I don't want Rodney McLeod.
or looking at Anthony Harris out of Minnesota.
I would love Anthony Harris.
But
I feel like they're going to franchise tag him and you have to trade for him. But I love Anthony Harris. I do. I really like Anthony Harris. So I
Well,
wouldn't be
if we
opposed.
get Everson Griffin is still out there too.
I wouldn't want Griffin.
Not Griffin. I think he declined his option. So they may. I'm not sure if they can still tag him. But I love it. I forgot about Devondre Campbell.
Yeah.
I love Campbell. We talked about him. I'm not sure how he is in coverage.
Oh, he's good. No, he's good because he has that
What's up,
speed.
Brodo?
Bruce Stone over on Facebook. He says, I'm not moving Sid yet. San Fran also has no need to trade for a corner.
Which is very, very, very,
They don't-
very true.
They don't need, but Emmanuel Mosley, it played very well and late in the year, but they still don't have anyone in the slot. And they have a bevy of young wide receivers where Pettis is very expendable. So if they can get someone who can play slot, which Sidney has did last year and at times this year, they'll be willing to take a chance on a corner that could be their slot corner.
So would you not offer them Maddox instead?
No. I'm way too high on Maddox.
Because it depends on how bad you want Pettis.
I don't want him that bad
Okay.
because like he hasn't proven anything.
Okay.
But that's why I'm saying like there aren't a lot of player for player deals in the NFL. But I feel like this is one of those. It just makes too much sense. And I talked about it a little bit last week. It makes too much sense because they're essentially the same. They're in the same situation, and it's like same scenario, but just different positions with their respective teams. Like they both are second round picks. They both have a lot of talent, high potential, but they both are out of favor with their coaching staff.
Yeah.
And they both would benefit from a change of scenery. I still hold up a smidgen of hope for Sidney Jones. So it's not that I'm giving up on Sidney, but if there's one trade I would do where I would trade Sidney away, it would be for Dante Pettis because I feel like it would be an even swap and it's just like win-win for both teams.
And that's the crazy thing of when you pick up Sidney. The whole reason why we're at this point, why Byron Jones is sitting at the top of our list, is because Sidney wasn't what
we wanted him to be.
What we expected him to be.
Exactly. That's I mean, it is what it is. But and hey, if we hang on to Sidney for another year, I wouldn't be opposed to it to see what he can do. But if Dante Pettis is available, I'm pulling that trigger yesterday. I would absolutely do that yesterday.
So to hit a couple of points real quick, who was it that asked me the question? It was Bill. Bill asked me
which KFC member? Two?
Yes.
He's like
KFC
1.5.
It was it was with the team that I had laid out, who do I think would be the better quarterback within my system that I made, either Brady or Bridgewater. Obviously Brady.
Of course.
I don't think it's a question. I obviously said that I would, as a fan, as a home team, as a homer, I would want Brady no matter what. I do truly believe he's the greatest quarterback of all time. I think that he still can play and elevate players, but do I want to give up A, the money, and B, the time to rebuild to have him in the system I laid out? No. I think that it's going to be too much money and hurt the team in the long run to pay that chunk now for potentially nothing.
Okay.
Then I did look at Perryman, but I think that it's a better fit for the Eagles having, already having Jackson on one side, you not needing a big name speed guy, and having a little bit of a versatility on one side versus with the Patriots getting Anderson or Cooper, who can be a true number one, which we don't necessarily have outside of Edelman. I think it's a little bit more money to go get one of those guys, but it's right there versus a lower risk, higher reward with Perryman. And then a position I didn't name, which is the biggest long shot for the Patriots to address, which is at running back. Last year they had 5 running backs listed on the team, and then Devlin at fullback, which they still one of the few teams that still use. I only want them to carry 3. I'm a big advocate of that. I don't understand having that many. With the Patriots, more so that they had Bolden, who was more of a return guy. I get it. You got to put him somewhere on the team. They don't have a special team designation that you can use. They have to have him listed out somehow. I don't want him anyway. So I have them going out and signing Kenyon Drake and then keeping Sony Michel.
I can see them more.
I
can see them trading for David Johnson before I can see them signing Kenyon Drake.
I'm okay with either one.
Yeah.
I love Kenyon Drake.
Okay with
Kenyon
either
Drake's
one.
not leaving Arizona.
But in an ideal
Arizona,
situation,
if they're smart, they're resigning.
And I'll tell you, I would. The dream scenario for Arizona is they sign Robbie Anderson.
Yeah.
And
God.
Austin Hooper.
Yeah.
They need a tight end, yeah.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean that for them and that offense, Robbie Anderson and a quality tight end, re-sign Kenyon Drake, trade David Johnson, and that division.
Yeah.
Oh man, and that's why
that's the smart play for them, and I do like David Johnson.
I'm shocked you picked Bridgewater. Bridgewater wears gloves when he was indoors in Minnesota. What the hell would he do on
gonna
a
double glove
Foxborough?
Yeah.
Teddy Four gloves.
To me, I think Andy Dalton in a bridge is your Andy Dalton or Fromm. That's your answer.
I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen.
Fromm fits. He just fits.
Yeah.
Either way, in every situation I laid out, I do like Fromm. I do like the more stand-up, strong-arm quarterbacks, your field general-esque players versus having somebody.
I would say he has a strong arm though, but he's a field general. He's a leader.
When I say strong arm, I mean somebody that consistently hits the 25 to 30 range versus extending plays and having either a bomb or a 5-yard out, which most of the league is going towards anyway.
You don't like quarterbacks who can move. I get it.
No.
I get it.
I want you to throw the ball.
You don't like dual threats. No, I get it. I understand. I understand. We've got a little less than 10 minutes, but I wanted to address real quick because I've heard some things during this past week in regards to the situation with Andre Dillard. I've been listening to Inside the Birds podcast with Jeff Mosher and Adam Kaplan. They further along talked about the whole Andre Dillard thing, and you brought trading him in your scenario. So I just want to bring up the fact that, if it wasn't clear last week, I have concerns about Dillard, and hearing their podcast, it just makes me even more. It makes those concerns even more warranted. They second and they Kaplan furthered my concerns about him being mentally weak. You're talking about a guy who he's soft. A guy who when he was asked to move to right tackle, he complained about it, and even though it wasn't fit, he didn't show up any fight or effort to try to make it work.
Yeah.
Which is a great point. All he did was saying this is very difficult, and then he pretty much gave up, and they had to yank him at halftime because he wasn't playing well enough.
Mentally
he
tough.
wasn't even trying. So there are many concerns about with Andre Dillard, the softness, and then obviously the him not being strong enough. That being said, I still would not give up on Dillard because I still do like him. I think in terms of movement, he has elite feet and footwork for a left tackle. Movement skills, you're talking about someone who is super athletic for a left tackle, for an offensive tackle. And I think that it's a way to, Kaplan brought up a good point. Have a guy like Brandon Graham mentor him. Brandon Graham, how many years did it take for him to finally figure it out? He was a bust for, can we say 3-4 years? He didn't live up to his first round potential.
Yeah.
But then now what is he? He's an Eagles Hall of Famer. Yeah. So sometimes it does take a little while. I think Dillard, despite my concerns, I am nowhere near giving up on him. I like the kid. I like his potential, and I'm not trading him unless it's similar to the Ertz situation. I'm not trading him unless I'm getting something that's out of this world like favorable for the Eagles. Like where it absolutely
Would you
makes
trade? Would you trade him? Would you trade him for a Jarvis Landry?
no.
No.
Because Dillard is still a young piece you can build with, and Jarvis Landry already a veteran. Where like there are other options in free agency and in the draft, then I would rather go through than giving up Dillard. And then you mentioned trading him for Slay. Slay is very good, but for a 29-year-old corner, and I know 29 is not old. I'm not saying it's old.
It's old in football.
But it's not old, but
I'd
it's
say
not
30.
someone who I'm going to be able to stay on my team for 10 years, where Dillard could be a 10-year piece. You know what I mean? At left tackle. I'm not trading him for either Landry or Slay.
What about this scenario to where a trade involving him would be the difference between staying where we are or getting into, let's say, the top 10 to get a receiver?
Oh, he's gone.
That's very, very tempting, and I would have to. That's something where now if you're talking about. What else would I have to give up? Would it be the
Swap.
21st pick?
Swap.
And Dillard?
Well, let's just say for conversation's sake, it's a trade that revolves around him.
Yeah. So say for instance, like Cleveland has 10, and you say, all right, I'll give you Dillard 21 and a future second.
Or a couple future picks. You know what I'm saying? But the other picks would be mid-rounders or future. You know what I'm saying? But it would be centered around the 21 and Dillard.
Yeah.
So we would give him Dillard 21, and then they would give us
And a handful of other picks.
And I don't
maybe
even
a
think they
throw-in
really
player.
even need to go to 10 to go that high. But if they could find a sweet spot, if they really like, and if Judy or somebody like that is sitting there, all right,
Apparently he's dropping.
for instance, Raiders. The Raiders pick at 12, and they want to trade Gabe Jackson. Now,
If you get to 10, though, it guarantees you get one.
That's
of
the
the
thing,
three.
like, I don't-
especially with them because it matches
I
up because they
personally-
need a left tackle.
I personally only have about 8-ish top tier early round players.
Yeah.
So that's why it's for me it's tough because if I'm in the top 10, I'm not guaranteed to get one of those top tier players.
Right.
And that's where I'm like I don't know if they're gonna follow me. So I don't know. It depends. Now if you're saying like top 7, top 6, where I'm guaranteed to get a guy like Simmons or like Derek Brown or one of those elite players in the draft, then it's a no-brainer.
I
But
would
top
say this.
10 is like fringe.
Well,
for me.
keep this in mind, though, too. And I'm just talking about top receivers, for example. I'm not talking about any of the other players. But
Yeah.
keep this in mind. Even if you have a top 8, a handful of those guys will always drop because of the quarterbacks that will be
Yes.
taken.
Yes, I know,
Like guys
yeah.
that we have ranked,
Yeah.
say, for example, they should go 22nd or
Like
40th.
Jordan Love.
They'll drop.
Yes.
They'll drop because
They
of the
might
quarterbacks.
exactly.
Trubisky's.
There might be 3 quarterbacks taken in the top 8.
Absolutely, and that's why I said like there's no guarantee. Like I'm not saying like we wouldn't, but like there's no guarantee. That's why like I'm thinking about it, but it's just like if I'm doing it to get one of the 3 wide receivers, that's still a hefty price to pay considering there are so many other options.
I would
We
say
don't-
this.
we don't have because we'd be down on left tackle of the future,
right.
and then only to get a wide receiver where I can still get a wide receiver. Later on in the draft. You know, I don't know.
You
It's tricky.
can.
I'm not discounting it. I'm just like
No, I agree with you.
I
wouldn't trade him.
I gotta think about it.
So, 2 things, and I know we're up against the break pretty soon. I would not be surprised because of Tua's medicals yesterday. If you don't start to hear by his pro day, if he can throw, if there's talk about him going number 1 instead of Burrow,
Number
Redskins.
one.
Well, Redskins are thinking about it.
because
That too.
I think he's
Can
a
you
better.
imagine?
I think he's a
Oh my
better
God.
passer. I think he's a better thrower of the football than Burrow. Me personally, and he's a lefty. I mean, lefties they're
hard to-
they're cheating. 2, I know Eagles fans won't like this, but like you can appreciate this. If I'm looking at one play, like if I'm just looking at players outside of Chase Young, who's probably to me is probably the best player in the draft in my opinion. If I'm looking at players and you give me wide receivers and you give me in any other position, you give me a Judy, you give me a Ruggs. If I had one player I can go up for, it'd be Jeff Okudah, hands down, all day, every day.
Okudah's good.
He's
one of my top tier guys.
He's
one of my top tier guys.
He's up there with Ramsey-esque, if not more fluid, and that's saying something. And we're talking about corners, and you're talking about the way they make this game more wide open, the value on corners, that's what I'm sitting here saying 17, 18 mil for a corner is a lot. Look at what this game and the structure of how it's currently played, what you ask corners to do, and how important they are.
Yeah,
Look, look what y'all paid Gilmore.
We'll pay Gilmore or either of the McCourties that bounced around both sides. I mean, for that position, if you're talking about, a position where you're always playing catch up to have somebody be able to play it well and be elite at it, it's the key on any defense. I don't care how much you want to rush the passer and add the pressure. Throws are going to get off somehow. So to have somebody back there that's good enough to stop them, that's top of the defense.
It's important.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we're wrapping up the first half. We didn't get to it yet, so we'll lead off our McCoy topic in the second half. So, guys, don't go anywhere. We still got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the potential, or the idea of McCoy returning to Philly. Do you agree with it or not? And then we'll also get into our lead topic for the second half, which is which team in Philly is going to be the next champion.
So make sure
is it?
You click, like, you follow, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Join the debate. We want to hear your voice. It's the only platform that you will get your voice heard. Name recognition. Hell, one of our hosts has a fan club. When did that happen?
Yeah.
So-
We love interacting with you guys. Absolutely.
Oh, my God.
So don't go anywhere, guys. Seriously, come back and give us about 5-10 minutes max, and we'll be right back on these couches ready to talk. All right, so our first half, again, was brought to you by our doc, Paul Vidal of Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC. SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Our poll question, by QB54. Use the promo code No Notes to get 20% off. Again, we'll be back in about 5-10 minutes. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon.
What's up, party people? We back. Got a little groove going on right there. Birds of a feather, you already know. We stick together in any weather. Fresher like a new pigskin leather football. But with that being said, we got the man K. To my right, got a fan club, hashtag KFC A2D, no notes. It's your boy Pete. We got Chucks to my left. On the ones and twos, we got the young old man Brodo with the deep voice.
Young old man.
Hashtag man that can't catch a tan.
Baby.
But no, man, for real, on the real, we're brought to you by Ambucks Gutter Cleaning and Services for rotted board replacement, deck installation, restoration, tree trimming, and other gutter-related services. Call 856-879-5530 or visit them at Ambucks Services. I believe you get 10% off if you do mention A2D. But we do have the second half poll question brought to you by QB54, the best tailgating game in the business. Visit them at playqb54shop.com and use promo code no notes to get 20% off. And the second second half poll question is, the Eagles will be the next team to win a championship.
There you go. Good for someone who didn't read the criteria.
I peeked at it.
Hashtag it, no.
Hashtag it.
Now, I mean,
Hashtag it.
I can't wink, so I would wink, but I can't.
So we'll get to that, fam. We'll answer the.
Yes.
You'll let us know what your opinions are on that. Will the Eagles win the championship next out of all the Philly teams? Before we get to that, I know our producer, the Bro, wanted to chime in on something that was talked about before we went to break.
Yes.
In terms of Tua.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So we were kind of talking about this, a little bit before the break. Oh, there's my mic, and now
There
I'm
it
back.
is.
We were
like
talking
your
about
tan.
it.
Just
Yes,
like your tan.
just like it was here, and then it was gone before I could even see it. Or
anyone
get
for
more
that
than one pick scenario, or the rumor that the Redskins are very interested. And Chuck surrounded, Jay Gruden, who's no longer there, obviously,
Right.
but it holds true throughout the entire organization, and that's continuing to where there were a lot of red flags that came up involving him and the organization, back and forth after they drafted him. Now the newest thing is the fact that apparently he's dyslexic, and that's, an issue regarding that. and they're worried about his whole involvement in learning the playbook, and they were saying that last year he really wasn't engaged in learning, and he really wasn't interacting with Case Keenum or even Alex Smith, and there were so many kind of intangibles that a leader, a big-time quarterback should have, and I get it, he's young and all, but when you talk about, and I have my doubts with Tua. I really do. I don't think he's a guarantee to be anything, and I don't think anybody really would say that.
Right.
But we all know with Tua, the one thing we can all agree on, he has a tremendous upside.
Oh, yes.
And I believe an organization like the Redskins,
take a chance.
They did it with RG3.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he is RG3, but when you talk about talking about all-time upside, listen, we saw the Arizona Cardinals do this same thing last year.
Yeah.
To where they draft Josh Rosen, and a year later, they're in a situation where, okay, we found somebody who we like more.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't.
To piggyback off of that, the biggest question about Tua is his durability. He gets nicked up. But the hip thing was kind of crazy. You know what I mean? Because the way he was taken down and the awkwardness of it. But if you're a Redskins fan, and you have to follow the Redskins, the last time that they were their period of success is when they drafted 2 quarterbacks in the same draft. They went RG3 and they went Kirk Cousins. So now you look at, okay, you mentioned Kyler Murray, Josh Rosen. The only thing I think it'll be hard for the Redskins is them sitting at the number 2 position. We all know quarterback is everything. Do you stall and wait another year with Haskins to ensure yourself that you get the best player, probably talent-wise, in the draft and Chase Young?
Yeah.
Or do you say, you know what? We know Haskins isn't the guy. I can't go get Cam but I can get this kid to it. And then, like you said, the upside, and you look at you're the Redskins and you're looking at the division, everybody else has their answer.
Yep.
Somewhat. You know, essentially,
they have a plan.
Essentially, Dak is probably going to get like close to 35, 37 mil per year, and then that's going to make everybody else who thought the Carson Wentz deal was a lot really make them think twice. But with that being said, like you said, everybody in NFC East has a plan. The Redskins, you don't want to be that team that doesn't have maybe not the guy, but when you don't have the guy and you don't have a plan, you don't want to be that team. So it really, to me, it comes down between Tua versus Chase Young.
Yeah, and to me, you have a situation where, say, for example, you drafted Tua. You don't have to play Tua at all anytime soon. I can honestly see a scenario, and it's not that far-fetched, to where you would have a quarterback room of Dwayne Haskins, Tua, and Alex Smith. I mean, Alex Smith is still hanging around there. Obviously, he's not. I don't think he's going to be playing anytime soon. But the fact that he is an option somewhere down the line, or at least he'll be a voice in the room. Listen, Tua, I think we can all agree, no matter where he lands, he's probably not seeing the field this year. I think we're going to see him get the Patrick Mahomes treatment, but that's just me.
Right.
I could see them bringing in Tua, and at least they see, okay, well, maybe this will get Dwayne Haskins going. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but if you look at prime Tua versus prime Haskins, who's the better player?
It's a no contest.
That's
a
no.
Tua.
Okay, so
no
I don't
contest.
need. So if I'm in the Redskins, I'm not even looking at it from that standpoint. I'm looking at if I'm drafting Tua, I'm like, okay, Dwayne, listen, man, thank you for your services for 10 games, whatever you played. But we could, you're just not it.
Yeah.
So, and if he truly is dyslexic, I mean, he's looking at the playbook, and I'm not trying to make light of his situation, but he could be throwing to the X receiver when it should be the Z. And that's exactly what dyslexia is. It's just kind of the reverse. You're just constantly transposing letters, numbers. So, yeah, it's going to be kind of hard for you to grasp a playbook. But when the way Tua throws the ball, like you go back to that championship game against Georgia, overtime, that ball was out. The game went a touchdown before the dude even had his man beat. And he dropped it in there like a bucket. That's the type of player. He has size, he could throw, and he does have some escapability almost to a fault. So
here's my question then.
Don't be sad because the Patriots can't go up and get him. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you guys might get Dwayne Haskins, though.
Please don't wish that on me.
Well, I might
Wow.
I might wish it.
Wow.
So here's my question then.
Okay.
Obviously, with Tua getting healthier, going through physicals and going and working out with these different teams potentially. Is there a scenario where you're seeing him going number 1 and Burrow dropping back?
No.
If Burrow doesn't make it past 2.
Well, I'm not saying back further than 2, but
Yeah.
I'm saying them swapping what they're projected right now.
The only
and
way
Tua going number 1, Burrow number 2.
If it was anybody but Cincinnati, Burrow being from Ohio, being from there, now the reservation of him not wanting to be in Cincinnati, that may be the one thing that scares him off. But if they do that, because let's face it, we talked about the red rifle earlier. The Bengals don't have to trade him.
Nope.
He's still there. So when you talk about a situation where Tua can just sit, that would be ideal. But I believe that they could, if they truly feel as if that's the way they want to go as we get closer to the draft, then they could trade out of 1. They could trade out of 1 and maybe move to 3 because we all heard Matt Stafford on the block.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you look at something like that to where maybe Detroit wants to move up, but which way they want to go. I'll tell you who benefits it the most if Tua and Burrow go 1 and 2, whatever combination, is now Matt DiPatricia gets Chase Young at 3.
Yep.
I mean, and that's an ideal situation.
I just have a weird feeling that Tua. I never would have thought this. Tua ending up in Detroit makes a lot of sense now. My initial thing was Tua ending up if he drops in Vegas, if Brady doesn't go there, to where they hang around with Carr. I mean, and then John Gruden goes after his guy, and they have no pressure because, again, he had the 10-year deal. You say, okay, we have Tua to where that's going to buy you more time.
Right.
You have one more year of Derek Carr where you can figure out if he has anything left. There's so many options. Again, everyone's saying, oh, Joe Burrow controls the draft. No, that's foolishness. Tua controls the draft.
Tua's hip controls the draft.
Yes.
Yeah, how hard he pushes himself to come back is going to be the key.
Because if Tua drops, all hell is going to break loose.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
If he goes past 5, all hell's breaking loose.
Yeah.
Which is good for us.
Yeah. Well, that's
that means someone's going to want to jump up.
It's the same thing the draft 2 years ago when they had all those quarterbacks. Like, was it the 4 or 5 of them?
Yeah.
You want them to all
the
trade up.
Draft.
Yeah. You want them to all trade up. So it's going to be very interesting because not only with those two, I know we got in conversation about Tua, but like you have other guys. You're talking about Jordan Love. You're talking about Jake Fromm. Yeah.
Well, first one you're talking about Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert. I'm sorry, I forgot about him. So you got those 5. You could have a lot of movement going up by teams. So if you're the Eagles and you're hoping that they do that happens so that a wide receiver can fall, that's exactly what you want. And fans who are listening in, we are going to have a draft, Birds of a Feather first round draft show.
And they better pick
live reaction. So that'll be fun. So make sure you tune in for that on the Thursday night. But that's going to be a lot of fun to see all that movement and see who falls and hopefully. Now, that being said, I said this earlier before the show, a couple hours ago, because the comp picks for the Eagles for everyone was in.
Yep.
And it was official. We all anticipated, but it was official that the Eagles are getting three comp picks, an additional third, and then 2 additional fourths. Just seeing that, and I've been thinking this for a while now, but I'm like 90 to 95% sure Howie at some point in the draft is going to trade up.
Yep.
For someone. I'm not guaranteeing it in the first round. I'm not guaranteeing that. But at some point in the draft, he's going to trade up. And I could see it on, if I'm going to make bets on it, I think it's somewhere on day 2. So round 2 or 3. But who knows? It could be in the first round. It could be in the first round.
I can see them moving up in a second. I can see them moving up in a second.
Like you're talking about for me, like I'm pretty much set on my wide receiver study. I'm pretty much set on my safeties. I want to dive in more on corners before I get into linemen. But the way, like, if I'm trying to, ideally, what I'd like to happen, I would kind of like to see them draft Denzel Mims in the first, trade up in the second trade up to get Chin because he's gonna go before round 2 is over. And then at 50, if they're gonna trade up in the second. Make sure they still have a pick somewhere in late second round to get Hamler because I think Hamler's going to fall.
I could see, and I'm not saying I'm rooting for this because, again, if you trade up to get one of the guys, that's what I want because the guy is better than a couple good guys, I would say. But if they get Byron, because I think what their plan is, they're going to go spend defense.
Yeah,
and
that's what
draft.
Yeah.
Offense.
Yeah, that's what we're on the same page. Yeah,
I could really see a scenario, and I'd be absolutely fine with it, to where you go receiver.
Yes.
Yeah, we could see
Jefferson
that too.
Hamler. Jefferson Hamler 1-2.
We don't want Jefferson.
No,
I
I don't
like
want
Mims.
Jefferson. I don't want Jefferson at 21.
Yeah. We don't want
I'm
Jefferson
almost if you tell me Mims Jefferson or Mims Hamler.
Give me
hell.
Mims Hamler.
I'm
Give me
fine with
Mims
that.
Hamler.
Yeah, I'm fine with
You know
that.
what
Mims
I'm saying?
Hamler.
But the only thing with Mims is the fact of his hands.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm just talking about his hands. It's great. 6'3", ran 4.39. Have you watched this film yet?
Yeah.
When I watched it, I wasn't seeing the full 4.39 translate the games like to play speed, especially with
because he's not a quick a quick twitch, explosive kind of speed. He's big, long stride, build up speed, but he can still be a vertical threat because he has that. He has that. When you're running the route tree that he's running, you're running vertical. He can get to that top speed, and then also he has the catch radius and he has the ball skills to get to catch those kind of passes. You're still talking about a vertical threat, just in a different way than like a Ruggs or a Hamler is.
Okay.
I think like Mims. The more I watch him, the more I see someone who has flaws and limitations, unlike the top three guys, but that upside to be just as good as them, depending on the situation.
I definitely believe if we look at this draft two months ago, Mims wasn't there, but we heard T. Higgins. Like I definitely believe Mims is. I think T. Higgins is he's hit where he's at.
T. Higgins is what he is.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
what you see is what you get with Higgins.
Yeah.
I don't know how much more upside is there to get off press coverage and to develop more and become more athletic.
Yeah.
To me, T. Higgins may fit somewhere in like New England or something like that,
Or Buffalo,
who
needs a bigger receiver. Yeah.
Or I'll give you one name. I'm not sure if you watched this film yet, but we all heard about him at the combine. And for the Eagles, do you take a look at the Chase Claypool?
No, I don't.
Just because of the size?
Because I still his tape as a wide receiver isn't. It's like similar to the DPJ thing. Yeah, he was great at the combine, athletic.
Right.
But what is that? When you talk about athleticism for players, you got to talk about functional athleticism, how it applies to the position they're playing.
Right.
With Claypool and DPJ, I don't see that athleticism translating to their film.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, as a wide receiver, okay, if I'm seeing an athletic freak at that size, well, then when I'm watching his film, I better see that play on tape. I don't see it. That's why, like, I scoffed at people saying, "Oh, Claypool, wide receiver, third round." No, like
he's going to go in a second. He'll go day two.
I don't see that. Like, give me maybe fourth round, but I still think that I would consider him as a hybrid tight end wide receiver,
right?
Because he doesn't have the movement skills at wide receiver on tape that shows at the combine.
Real quick, there's a comment I want to read. Because I want to make sure you guys have plenty of time for the other stuff.
Yeah.
Jalen Williams says, now we're thinking alike. I like the combo of Mims and Jefferson. That's what I want if we go 2 wide receivers with the first 2 picks.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can see that.
Yeah, I think on the Patriots side, I think kind of hitting your point, I think we do end up taking a receiver.
Yeah.
The Patriots did end up getting the most comp picks, 2/3 and 2/6 out of this year. I think the Patriots use half of their total picks with 12 total. I think they take 6, and in notorious Patriot fashion, either use some to move up to take the targeted big names to fill the holes they've got, or move out completely in trades. Being that Bill does tend to like his 1 to 2, second, third year, have proven it guys to know what he's got. But as far as who to take, I really couldn't tell you, because that's all going to center around who you have playing quarterback, which is going to be decided first when free agency opens. So I'm not going to sell myself on anyone yet outside of Moss and Fromm. That's the only two I would say that I would definitely want out of the 6 I think they will take. Outside of that, it's really a crapshoot.
All right, so speaking of who's going to play what position, let's talk about perfect segue into Eagles poll question. Do you agree they may win the championship next year, the closest Philly team? I know we each got to sign a team, but if we think that the Eagles will, and we'll lead this right to you because you're Eagles, you were in charge of this. Do we all sit here and think if the Eagles are the closest one to win a championship next year out of the Philly teams, do we think LeSean McCoy will be part of the Eagles next year on a team that does do that?
No.
I don't think so. I don't think it makes sense for them. I think they've already filled the role that they would bring McCoy in for. I think that if they were going to have him, it would be, they could definitely bring him back still. I mean, there's a shot that they bring him back in a Sproles, low vet minimum type deal where they bring him back for a nostalgia type, come in and, we can use you, but we won't really. It'll be very situational. To me, they already have a pretty full backfield for those types of guys. They've already got Boston Scott. They've already got was it Elijah Holyfield?
Yeah.
They've already have guys like that to where they have their situational guys. You're not going to have him return, so he's not going to fill that side of things. So I don't think he fits. But with that being said, I do think that they have the most potential as far as current roster to move forward for a championship. I think they are in the best situation moving forward. I think if you look at teams like the Sixers, I think that they don't mesh well enough like the Eagles have when all healthy.
Mm-hmm.
To obviously we know their road game woes. If you look at teams like the Phillies, I think they're way out as far as having the hitting together, but not the pitching, especially with the bullpen depth. I think that everything is right there for this season. Pending the draft set up for the next 3 to win the championship within those 3.
Right. And I think we're all in agreement that no. I mean, thank you, McCoy. Thank you for your services. Greatest running back in Eagles history. Sorry, Chucks.
We'll get to that in May. Preview. Westbrook versus McCoy 2.0, this time between me and Pete. May when we do running back rankings. So just stay tuned. 2 months. It's coming.
So
it's coming. It's in May, sometime in May.
I will bring popcorn.
Yes, you might
just don't throw the popcorn in people's faces. Hopefully by that time when the temperature is consistently above 70, virus COVID-19 will be long dead and gone, and then vaccine will be coming next fall by this time football season around. Because the last thing we want to do here is A2D, because this is a platform for the fans, not even fans, y'all family. Your extension of us is doing shows from our couch. We hope we don't get to that point. We don't want to take the so.
That being said, just be healthy, guys.
Yes, wash your hands, man.
Be healthy.
This is what y'all should be doing anyway. To be listen, buffets shut down, all the salad bars shut down. You know what I mean? If you're not making it yourself, you can't see that person. Listen, ain't no more gas.
Shrimp in the mouth.
no more shrimp in the mouth. No, I don't know, cause Sakura they cook it right there in front of you. You know what I mean? They cook it right there.
What about the sake?
Oh,
no sake. But
We're really having this
so
conversation.
speaking of that, go ahead, sir. State your claim. Are the Eagles
I
the
just
next?
did.
He just did.
You don't listen to me?
That was
Jesus.
very short. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I would be remiss if I would expected some passion from a non-Eagles fan regarding the Eagles subject.
Oh God! Or why don't we do this? Okay, let's
Look at the shock.
Let's call an audible. Let's call an audible here. Do we all agree that the 2 closest teams are the Eagles and Flyers?
No.
No.
We don't agree.
No.
Never mind. I thought we were going to go that way. But,
Okay. No, I agree with the Flyers. I don't agree with the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Really?
Yeah.
Like those? You don't think those are the top 2?
No, I agree. The Flyers are one at the top.
I think the Flyers.
I think the Eagles are further away.
Yeah. I have Flyers, but I don't have the Eagles.
I'm in agreement with you,
Okay.
Chucks.
Okay. So
Whatever.
if
Whatever.
I believe that the Eagles are in the top 2. I'll make a case to help with the thing. So I think the Eagles are top 2 because, and now, I will preface this by saying, okay, and me being totally honest and transparent, like I don't know nearly enough or next to nothing about baseball. So when it comes to the Phillies, I am shorthanded. Like I keep track with the Phillies. Like I'm up to date. I know how they're doing. I know what their records are if they're winning, losing. So I'm in tune with the pulse of the Phillies, but I'm not in depth with. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
So
You're more casual.
I'm a casual fan, and I watch from afar, but the Phillies are intriguing. When it comes to the Sixers, way too many question marks right now. Like I just can't buy into the whole we are one team when we're at home and another team away, and I have someone who's supported Brett Brown, and I said he deserves until this season to at least until this season before he gets on the hot seat. Well, that hot seat is burning right now because he hasn't shown me anything up to this point. I think the Eagles are right there with the Flyers because one, I'm looking at the temperature also of both leagues, and like the way both leagues are in terms of how easy is it for a team to go from to come out of nowhere and win it. In hockey last year, we saw the Blues go from the worst team in the league middle of the season to winning the cup. We all know about the parity in hockey, and we know that it's just about as who's playing the best toward the end of the season. And right now, despite the 2-0 loss to the best team in the league, the Flyers are still right there with the Bruins. They're one of the best teams in the league. They have every bit of much a chance to make it, and they finally have the goaltending to do it, not just with Hart, but with Elliott too. They have that. That is the most important thing in hockey is the goaltending come playoff time and the depth. They have the depth and the scoring depth and the goaltending. All right. Now, when it comes to the Eagles, we all know that when the Eagles won it 2 years ago, they came out of nowhere. Not a lot of people expected them to. Not a lot of people expected them to be contenders. And when you have the quarterback and the coach, when you have Wentz and Peterson, and then you have a general manager in Howie Roseman that knows how to structure the cap the way he does, and has shown in the past that when he acknowledges he's made a mistake and is willing to learn from it, he does learn from it. He corrects his prior mistakes. I believe that Howie Roseman will have a big offseason this year to make up for his mishaps last season. And I think that the Eagles are going to ride the momentum they had last year. I think Wentz is going to come back even angrier and wanting to show that, hey, like I know that I got hurt in the playoffs, but I want to show you what I can do with a supporting cast, and I can be healthy again all season, and even further. I just think that there's too much consistency in the Eagles, and they've shown that they ever since 2017, they haven't missed the playoffs yet.
Right.
And that's with really bad circumstances with injuries in each of the past 2 years. So if they can get at least a little bit healthy, the sky's the limit for them.
Right.
If they can have a healthy roster, they can be a contender with any team in the league. And with basketball, you know how top-heavy it is. With baseball, it's a long season, and I have to see it from the Phillies before I say, like, they didn't even make it to the playoffs last year.
Right.
So how am I going to go in a sport like baseball? How am I going to go from no playoffs to title contender in just 1 year?
Because things can change very, very quickly.
And I believe you, and
baseball.
I believe that, but I can't put that over the parity level of hockey and football, and then the consistency that the Eagles have shown. That's why I have Flyers 1 and Eagles right behind them at like 1.5 or 2.
All right, so Flyers is one. The Flyers wasn't particularly my assignment. My assignment was the Sixers. And once again, in true hashtag king of no notes, didn't write anything down.
I didn't either.
But I didn't say you did. I wasn't throwing shots. I'm just saying. To me, the Sixers, when I look at the Sixers, the reason why I said they're closer than the Eagles, because they already have the talent there, in my opinion, to get it done. But we are one head coaching change away from having a coach to hold those talented players accountable and then getting the maximum amount out of them as talent. And I look at the East, and it's one team, really. It's not even one team. It's one guy.
One man.
It's one man-child. I don't know what you want to call him.
If he is even human.
So, and he just continuously gets better. And for some reason, that drive, has not translated to Embiid and to Simmons on his team. But also, I don't believe we've had a coach to be able to push them. And it's kind of beautiful in the sense that, not beautiful, but it's kind of ironic in the way that we were begging for depth. See, that's what makes the Flyers so good. Is we all kind of saw this coming with the hiring of Alain Vigneault, but we saw it maybe a year or so down the road to catch the lightning in the bottle now, and they're deep and they're young. With the Sixers, they're kind of in that same window, and we thought at the beginning of the season that maybe they didn't have the depth but we seen Shake start to progress in the player development. We seen what Furkan, what he was doing a couple months ago, not so much lately, but we see that depth. We start to see that, and then maybe not so much of the bigs, but kind of starting to see Horford come along. Toby's not a max player, but that's what the environment of the NBA is. But if somehow we can get the head coach right and maximize the talent of Embiid and Simmons and the cohesiveness and the chemistry of this team, I think because we're all in agreement here, if the Sixers was playing at their grade A, if the Sixers played like they played on Christmas against the Bucks, and we saw that Sixers team more consistently on the road and just be 500, would there be any argument of who the top two teams were in this city or in this area to be able to win a championship?
Nope.
Sure, but that's a big if.
You just like to argue. That's why.
I'm in the same boat because you can't tell me that professional athletes can't be pushed by internal competition outside of a coach. Your words were right. I need a coach. I need to bring in a coach to drive these guys.
You're absolutely right. I agree with you.
Yeah, I could say that about the Eagles, and we're one wide receiver away from catching a touchdown pass.
We are a healthy roster away.
Right.
That's
what we're a healthy
roster away from being a title contender.
Like you legitimately, if you had the same exact team from last year,
right,
and you said, hey, I can guarantee that no one's going to get injured, I would bet anything in saying that team, I did say that was your Super Bowl team out of the NFC, that that's who you're looking at to go. If they're all healthy. So you're saying no changes, that type of team could go. Now if I'm removing a couple of pieces, getting some healthy pieces in, you're telling me I have to change a whole head coach and that's going to get you there? That changes everything.
No, I'm not saying that. So if you take what you said with the Eagles, if we had no injuries last year, we had minimal injuries, not at key positions, I still don't think the Eagles had the talent to get past San Francisco. When I look at the Sixers, the talent, elite talent, is already there. And I agree with you. I've been screaming it for years. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, for some reason, they don't have that internal fortitude. Some would call it, it rhymes with tubular, and it could be testicular fortitude to fit and to push themselves. Because I am a very big proponent of this. When you're labeled the man for years and years and years, when you're in high school and you're in college and you're supposed to be this surefire thing, it takes an extra type of motivation for you to hit that expectation.
You're a victim of your own greatness.
Thank you. Greek Freak was 14, picked 14th. Too frail, too small.
He was a nobody.
Constantly worked on this game. Biggest thing about him was just his frame. Now look at him. And B, love him. I love his personality. I love him on Twitter. But at the same time, the question comes whether or not he wants it or not. And I understand I shouldn't have to look to a coach for that. But also at the same time, we can't sit here and act like Brett Brown's been doing a fucking good job.
I'm not saying he's doing a good job, but I'm saying if you're replacing a head coach, you can't be close of a team that just needs to be healthy and add maybe one or two pieces, which you're going to do anyway year over year.
No, if you gave me a Doug Peterson-esque basketball coach, I'll be fine. Because guess what? His team is resilient. They preserve through toughness, through adversity. The Sixers, Brett Brown, doesn't do that. Brett Brown might as well be that freaking trash can in the corner.
But there are so many ifs now with the Sixers. And
to be
fair, I still believe in Simmons and Embiid.
Okay.
I do. And I do believe that they like a new coach could be the difference. And like, they do, like, it's with basketball, it starts with the stars that you have. And I do like, I like Toby. I think I was fine with the contract. I personally was.
Yeah.
And I think that if he's your third scorer, I think you're fine. So, and I think in terms of depth, I think the Sixers are just missing, like, some things here and there, but you can get them. But I think they do have the stars. I believe in them. But there's still, to your point, there's still things about Embiid and Simmons that we get so frustrated with. Like Simmons, I love, and I will never hate on him like other people do. But come on, like, you gotta start hitting.
What did you
shots.
say? See, this big thing with Simmons. What did you say when we were watching the Flyers game and they had a breakaway? What was the key word you said? You have to what?
Shoot. Yeah, that's what I'm just saying.
I know I'm not making my own
outside.
argument. I'm not doing myself any favors.
But
right
that's my
here.
point. Like,
But
until I see the stuff we need to see from Simmons and Embiid, and then until I see a coach pushing them and putting the things,
Said coach.
I can't see
said coach.
I can't see them as the same level as the Eagles.
I'm
or
not
Flyers.
disagreeing that they need a coach, but I'm not saying a coach is going to put it.
Right.
I'm saying if you have to replace a coach, you can't be as close as you think.
Before we run out of time here, because I know we're like 10, 15 minutes.
Are we?
I do want to. Yeah, I know. Time flies. I do want to hear the Philly side. And I know, Brodo, you wanted to make a case for the Phillies, why they are in that conversation too.
Yeah, I honestly do believe that, when you talk about, here I am, back, tan,
Hi.
tan,
There you go, tanned.
tan, tan, here I am, no, tan, hold on, tan.
Tan
See,
here.
this is what Ralph didn't do last week. Tan?
Yeah,
Okay, we're good.
yeah.
Tan.
All right, we're back.
There's a tan.
Lost
You're
his
back,
voice
but
and
no
his tan.
tan.
Yes, I'm back, but no tan. I honestly do believe the Flyers to me are one, okay? But to me, and, I know Bill was saying, and listen, Bill at the moment, he's not completely off. He's saying, the Phils are third place in their division. In baseball, when you talk about the optics of it, you can make a change as far as your pecking order on, kind of the, first place, second place. You can make a change very quickly. And with the Phillies, you already know you're starting to see, that young, I wouldn't even say young, that solidified core return to the team. That when you talk, oh my God, this microphone. Hello? Okay, I'm back. When you talk about this entire core, you have Harper, obviously Real Muto. Hoskins, there's no excuse this year. There's no excuse. You have the new hitting coach, for example. He's going to be put in the right position to succeed. Kingery is going to finally be that second baseman that he has always tried to be, and he was never given the opportunity to be. You're starting to see, obviously, Nola. Now you have Wheeler. To me, the biggest separation between them being where they're at now and a potential, obviously a playoff team or potential World Series contender is one major move as far as starting pitching to bring in, and I think that could easily be done this year in season, if not in the middle of the offseason next year.
Okay.
Very, very quickly. Surrounded by, and I know this is not popular because I love the kid, Alec Baum. I honestly could see a scenario to where he never plays for us once because we'd be in a situation, because right now, obviously, he's blocked by Segura, to where everyone's saying, oh, trade Segura, and I'm fine with that, obviously. I do that in 2 seconds if I can get a good return for it, because I honestly do believe Segura, while he's a solid player, his ceiling, we know his ceiling, for example. Right. And obviously the effort, and I'm not saying that he'll get away with that with Girardi because there's no chance in hell he does, but there's still a lot of questions with Segura. To me, I could see in a handful of months they see, okay, well, there's somebody in the American League, let's say the Tigers or the Indians, for example, that they have a pitcher that can come in here and be a solid 2, 1, or even a 3, and we trade Baum for him. You know what I'm saying? In a package. Or, obviously Spencer Howard. Everyone talks about we have no prospects. Yeah, compared to, obviously the big clubs. And I laugh when, you hear Andy McPhail say, oh, well, we have a very good farm system. No, we don't, but it's top heavy.
Yeah.
We have our guys, and then there's a dramatic drop-off.
Yes.
But it's not like we have nobody to bring in and kind of trade for a solidified piece. That's why I was preaching for, and obviously, the Dodgers did it. That's why I wanted the Phillies to go out and trade for David Price. I did. But, he's not the same, but to get him in here as number 3, to take pressure off of Arrieta, for example, or Wheeler, and then to only have to have one of the older guys of that was something that made sense to me.
Yeah.
So I do think that will be in play. But, again, you have a scenario to where if you bring in pitching, the hitting is pretty much taken care of.
Right.
If you find out that Hoskins still isn't doing what he needs to do, he's gone.
And I don't want him to move. Like they said on Fan Friday, the very first ever Fan Friday, where you can call into the show, call into the platform, put Hoskins in the 4 spot and just let him rock there. Mm-hmm. The one thing that you didn't mention that I would say that does concern me is the division.
Yeah, I mean, I would say
the division is a monster.
The 2 best division in baseball, and obviously we'll talk about this when we do our the baseball roundtable in a few weeks here. I think our division and the Angels division. I think those are the 2 best divisions in baseball. And I could see a situation where, because right now I have, kind of as a spoiler for the baseball show, and it could change because it's a few weeks away, but, I have the Braves finishing first at 96, the way it is right now, and then the Mets and the Phils tying for second place at 89. So you're saying, oh, well, Ryan, that's a 7-game gap. How can you say that they're the closest or the second closest to win a championship? Because if you trade for a pitcher, or if some of the there's a ton of options in the bullpen. There's a ton of options off the bench. If some of those click, unlike last year to where everything went wrong, and then you make a move at the deadline or before the deadline, or you bring up Baum and he's awesome, well, that 89 goes quickly from 89 to 98, just like that. And then the funny thing is, who did I not even talk about once? The manager. Yeah. I didn't once talk about the fact that you're going from Gabe Kapler, who sucks, and hear what he did today? Yeah. He walked out of a press conference early to where it's already a disaster with the San Francisco Giants, who they stink. They're not supposed to be good. They're not expected to be good, and that's a disaster. You're going from Gabe Kapler, who should have never gotten the job, to a bona fide winner in Joe Girardi.
Who, if the Astros don't do the bullshit that they do, may have never even left.
He would never been. They would have won the World Series because they lost in Game 7 before the World Series. Yep. He would never be our man. That's the funny thing. Thank you to the Astros, because if you didn't cheat, he would not be our manager because he'd still be there, and they'd probably have 2 more titles.
Exactly.
For me, the biggest question mark with the Phillies is, can their non-Gabe Kapler-esque pitching style, which is with the hard counts and watching what they're doing, can they solidify a bullpen, and can they close out games? Because that was the biggest question mark last year, is when you have the 1-2 run games, which are going to happen, can you win them? Can you stick it out and help your pitching out either with late inning hits or just sustained pitching throughout the bullpen?
And I do believe so, because the difference between, like, when we talk about, again, and this goes for all sports, in a grand scheme of things, but in close games, in big moments, the 2 biggest differences between you winning a game and losing a game is your management and your big-time type players. Your big-time type players, and you saw, like, obviously the Harper Grand Slam against the Cubs. Like, there were moments. They were not put in situations to succeed. They just weren't. And that's not an excuse. That's fact. You can go through the entire season, the last 2 seasons, and you can write down 20, 25 games that right on the dot you say Gabe Kapler has cost them. Yeah. And then you're talking about, okay, that's just on the surface. Then how do the players respond based off of the situations they're being put in? Again, talking about Kingery, he's a second baseman, but you move him shortstop, third base, center field, left field, right field. No, he's a second baseman. Let him do that so that he knows how to play second base. Let him do what he knows. That way he can improve on the offense, so he's not striking out 125 times. Right. For example, Rhys Hoskins, he is a bad defender, so don't put him out in left field. Put him at first base. Let him mold there. You know what I'm saying? Right. Don't have him lead off when he's batting 180 over the last month. Don't have him lead off. Keep him in the 4 or back him up to 5, 6, 7. Right. Don't go forward with him, especially you have a leadoff guy who's the slowest on the team. You know what I'm saying? That I do believe that, Kevin. This is the difference. And again, there's going to be games that we lose. There's going to be game-ending strikeouts to where we're like, oh, my God. That's baseball. You know what I'm saying? And you know that, but everyone knows that. But my point is, we're now in a situation as a fan base, and I think the players are, to where we can be comfortable and confident that we don't have to worry about the game plan and kind of the matchup potential going into a game. It's about these players responding. And if they don't, well, then we will know what these players are, because the excuses are gone, to be completely honest.
Well, that's the biggest thing for me is, as a fan, I see all the pieces are there, and I get that the change in management, going from a guy that's going to, have Aaron Nola, who is throwing either a shutout or a great game, stop in the third or fourth inning just because he had a pitch count, and bring in and have your bullpen get stretched and blow it. It's hard for me to take that, knowing the pieces are there, with all the change, though, and say that they are the closest. With how much has to change as far as strategy and game plan goes, I get it that it comes with a great manager to do it, but to me, I have to kind of see it before I can say, all right, you're as close as to me, in the best team on football last year, a couple health issues and then one or two pieces changing, closer than the Eagles with all that change coming through.
Gotcha.
With all that being said, because I want to get to know Huddle before we sign off. But with all that being said, the fact that we're having this conversation, I think it goes to show that Philly as a whole, we're in a good spot finally.
Yes.
I think, what was it, like 5 years ago maybe? We were talking about it. It was really
like 5 years.
Huh?
It would have been like, who the closest is to win in 5 years.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
The window
We
wouldn't have
were
been
all
like a
in
year
bad
to 2 years.
shape. All
Yeah.
teams are bad shape. And the fact that all four teams are now on the up and up, it makes you just appreciate, hey, like we are in good shape. We are in a good spot, and thank God that all teams were able to turn it around. And that we have what we have. But I think that, hey, 2021, we all win a championship at least by 2021. Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. All right. Real quick, no huddles. Anybody have a no huddle? I have two real quick ones. But
Okay.
If you guys want to go first,
I don't have anything.
do you got anything today, Kev?
Yeah. For me, it was just shout out to the women's main event from last week on the UFC card. Probably one of the greatest fights I've ever seen.
I still gotta watch it. I got to go back and watch it.
It's amazing to see, especially having some ties to UFC and women in the sport, just how far they've come from 3 years ago not having any to now outclassing the men as far as overall competition and just great showmanship within the sport. So kudos to them, and I look forward to seeing that hopefully ran back again.
Nice. It was announced earlier today that there is an agreement between the NFL and 2K Sports.
Really?
That they will be having games again. Now, when I first heard the news, I was like, oh my God, because as someone who is forced to buy Madden because it's the only football game out there, and someone who misses ESPN NFL 2K5, I was ecstatic. But just don't get too excited yet, guys. As a reminder, these games are non-simulation games, so they are projected to be arcade-style games. So it's like all right. But there is a second part of the news where they said that the simulation license between EA and NFL does expire in 2021. So it is possible that after that they could revisit, and 2K may be able to get back into the simulation, football simulation, gaming industry, which would be phenomenal because I always thought 2K Sports, their lineup of football games was better than Madden.
Right.
And I really want to see them back into it. So let's just hope and pray. I probably, honestly, to make a point in towards EA, I probably won't buy Madden next year. I'll probably go buy 2K's football game, whatever it's going to be, just to make a point and say, hey, get your act together.
Right.
But that's my one. And two, before we sign off real quick, I don't know if she's listening, but I do want one more time to give a shout out to my wife. I do want to say that we announced that we are pregnant and expecting our first.
We are pregnant?
She is pregnant.
How do you?
She told me. Are you kidding me? Second trimester.
I must have missed that class
I'm just
in
kidding.
school.
But we are expecting our first, and I just wanted to. I know I said it in the first half, but I just wanted to say thank you again to everyone that reached out and said congrats and everything. It's been a great 3 months, and this is like as a kid, this is my dream come true. This is what I wanted, to have a family and to finally have wife, kids, and the fact that in August of last year we got married, and then all of a sudden this quickly we're having a kid. I'm as happy as I could ever be, and plus sharing with everyone here at A2D Fam as we grow. Like, I wore this shirt today because I wanted to express my love to the fam, and just, all the viewers, my family here at A2D. Thank you for everything. Honestly, I love what I do. I love my life right now, and no coronavirus can ever stop me. I'll just
Shit.
Heck yeah.
Well, putting this
All
away.
right.
Hey,
Turn
man,
off the lights before it finds me.
Make sure the show doesn't stop here. Make sure you
doesn't,
check it
guys.
tomorrow. Fix AM and PM A2D. Check us on wherever you want to stream your podcast. A2D Radio. You can find every show on the platform. Also A2D Radio on all social media platforms. Real Talk Facebook page. Join if you want to. Join the debate. Your voice will be heard, man. We thank you so much for rocking with us. We appreciate it. Everybody out there, be safe. Be happy. Wash your mother effing hands. Trust me, it'll go further. Everybody else out there, man, be safe. Thank you, brother, for rocking on the ones and twos.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Chrome, I hope you enjoyed the game.
Damn you.
Ralphie, I'm expecting my answer tomorrow.
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 The
Wait
final
until you see
response.
Ralphie, by the way. That's all I want to
Oh my
say. Just
gosh.
wait until you see him.
Yes.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. Before we leave, I've been holding Kev back.
Yeah, we have.
We've been holding Kev back.
Ooh.
So I'm just
Tell
letting
me
y'all
more.
know, birds of a feather coming for war.
I like it.
Yeah,
We
we've
coming
got
for
some-
war.
yeah.
Listen, I'm on both shows,
It's
so I'm fine.
happening.
I'm going to win no matter what.
Yo, this ATD Olympics, it's happening, folks.
Yes.
It is gonna happen this spring. So just be on the lookout for that.
Hopefully the virus is gone by.
Yeah. We're gonna be running hazmat suits.
I'm already gonna have the paramedics on standby.
Oh
we might
my
need to have
God.
7 of them.
Jesus Christ.
Hazmat suits.
Jesus Christ. But thank you guys. Next week we should have Chrome back, and it's gonna be another fun-filled show. We got free agency, legal tampering,
Yes.
legal tamper talk.
Hopefully the Eagles will have some free agents at this time.
Yes.
And then
It'll be fun to talk about. All right, guys. From myself, Chucks, Pete, Godwin, and the bro on the ones and twos, we wish you all well. And be safe, be careful. God bless. We'll see you next week.